hat for me. Jeff loved his red and white toque. He could put it in his pocket and it never got messed up. Once he dropped it in the mud, when he washed it, it was as good as new. Best of all, it kept his head warm on cold winter days. He could pull it snugly over his ears and it never blew off. One day Jeff was building a snow fort with his friends. He took off his toque and stuffed it in his pocket. The next day, Jeff and his friends went back to finish the fort. Jeff looked in his pocket for his toque. His toque was gone. Jeff checked his other pocket, but the toque wasn't in there either. Jeff and his friends looked everywhere, but they didn't find Jeff's toque. Jeff ran inside to ask his mother if she'd seen his toque. She shook her head. His toque was really gone. Jeff's mom gave him another hat to wear, but it wasn't the same. There was no hat like his toque. Jeff's Aunt Mary came to visit. "I'm going on a trip to Mexico, Egypt, and Russia," she told Jeff. "Would you like to come with me?" "That would be great," said Jeff. When it was time for the trip, Jeff began to pack his suitcase. It would be hot in Mexico and Egypt, so he packed shorts, t-shirts, sandals, and lots of sunscreen. It would be cold in Russia, so he packed long pants, sweaters, and warm socks. He didn't pack a hat. His toque was gone. "Take this hat," suggested his mom. But Jeff didn't want to take another hat. He wanted his toque. "We'll find a good hat on our trip," Aunt Mary told him. "Don't worry." On Monday, Jeff and Aunt Mary flew to Mexico. Jeff had never traveled on a plane before. Mexico was hot and sunny. "We need hats," said Aunt Mary. Jeff and Aunt Mary went to a shop near the beach. Aunt Mary bought Jeff a big straw hat. It kept the sun out of Jeff's eyes, but when a strong gust of wind came along, the straw hat sailed off Jeff's head. My toque would have stayed on my head, Jeff thought, but he knew that his toque would have made his head too hot in the bright Mexican sun. Next, Jeff and Aunt Mary flew to Egypt. It would be even hotter there. "We'll need hats," said Aunt Mary on the plane. Jeff bought a cap with a flap at the back. My toque would not have flapped in the breeze, he thought, but I guess this hat does protect my neck. One day, Jeff went for a camel ride in the desert with Aunt Mary. Aunt Mary's camel liked Jeff's hat too much. When they arrived in Russia, Jeff and Aunt Mary went to another hat shop. "My nephew needs a hat that will keep out the cold," Aunt Mary told the shopkeeper. Jeff sighed. The brim of the hat was so big he couldn't see past it. "This hat is not as good as my toque," he thought. "If I had a toque on, I could see where I was going." Soon the trip was over and Jeff and Aunt Mary flew home to Canada. Jeff's mom and dad met them at the airport. His mom gave him a present to welcome him back. "It's a toque." "Where did you find a toque just like my old one?" Jeff asked. "It is your old toque," Jeff's dad said. "We found it in the backyard when the snow melted." "Good old toque," said Jeff, putting it on. "You're the best hat of all. You're the hat for me."